In Ohio, things are really dicey. I personally think if it's not stolen, you're going to see an amazing upset in almost all of these states. We have one of the guys who's running, he's a state treasurer in Ohio now. He's a candidate for Senate against Sherrod Brown. His name is Josh Mandel. Sherrod Brown is I'll let Josh tell the difference. We have Josh on the phone. Also, Marco Rubio is he on the same line?
Yeah, you got it. They're separate. I think they're sharing the phone. They're standing with each other.
Is this a party line? Is that what's going on?
Hey, Glenn, how you doing?
Good. How are you, Josh?
Yeah, this is Josh on the party line in Cleveland, Ohio.
And Marco, where are you?
He's coming in. He's out in the diner shaking hands with some folks.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Josh, first of all, what's the difference between you and Sherrod Brown?
Well, he was named the most liberal senator in the United States of America. He's never seen a regulation he didn't like or a tax he didn't hike, and I'm a proud full-spectrum conservative. While I am a Republican, I'm a conservative first, and I'm a constitutional conservative, and think in Washington some of the Republicans are oftentimes just as much a problem as some of the Democrats, and we need to elect more senators like Senator Rubio and others who will stand proudly as conservatives to do the right thing for our country.
Small government conservatives?
Small government conservative. I believe the private sector is the solution to our problems. When it comes to a lot of our social woes, I think we should look to religious organizations and nonprofit organizations oftentimes before we look to government. And I also believe that while so many politicians, my opponent and others, think that the federal government is the answer, I think Washington's the problem. And the more we can get Washington out of the way, the stronger our economy and our country will be.
So you're the treasurer in Ohio State, and which is fantastic because you obviously are a numbers cruncher. The financial cliff that is coming our way and all the trouble that we're having. If we don't change the course now, how long do you think we have?
Not very long. We are running 100 miles per hour down the tracks, and it's I believe soon going to be off the rails if we don't get some new leaders in Washington. $16 trillion debt, $1 trillion to China, Social Security and Medicare on the brink of bankruptcy.
How would you suggest that we stop the money printing and the QE infinity and pull ourselves back up without? Because the first thing that will happen is interest rates will go up. How do we not collapse ourselves by trying to heal ourselves?
Well, I think we need to make aggressive cuts in our federal government quickly. And, there's a lot of Republicans who disagree with some of the things I stand for. For instance, many Republicans will say, we can't touch defense spending as well. I actually believe we need to do a top-bottom review of all of our bases throughout the world. And, for instance, in Europe, we're not fighting the Nazis anymore. We're not fighting the Cold War anymore. We could probably trim down or shut down some of our installations.
So how aggressive are you talking about? When Calvin Coolidge came in, he and Harding, they cut the spending by 50%.
Right.
How aggressive do you think we should be?
We have to be very aggressive. We need to do a top-bottom review of the federal government, and for every agency, administration, bureaucracy that is not called for in the United States Constitution, we have to really ask the question, what is its purpose, how many people work there, how much does it cost to taxpayers, and what is the value to our society?
I love you.
And one of the first acts, Glenn,
if we wouldn't be sued by Barry White, I would play Barry White right now and turn the lights down.
Hey, Glenn, I have someone here who wants to say hello.
Oh, wait.
Go ahead.
Wait, I just want to thank you for your service, first of all, especially with everything that's going on in Benghazi. You were a Marine for 8 years, and we don't leave men behind. And
I do know that.
And thank you for your service, and I can't wait till you get to Washington and start pulling the bodies out.
I appreciate that. It was my honor to do my small part and do a couple tours in Iraq, and it sickens me to see when our Americans are killed overseas and abroad. And this is just disgraceful how this is playing out with Benghazi. And I'll say something else. Just while you're on this topic, I didn't like those comments the President of the United States made to Governor Romney at the debate about bayonets and horses. When I went through Marine boot camp in Parris Island, South Carolina, we actually did have bayonets that we trained with. And as a Marine in Iraq, I actually did have a bayonet that I wore on my flak jacket. And I just think the commander-in-chief of our military needs to be more respectful of our men and women when he's making comments about our military, and he should really understand who it is out there carrying a weapon and protecting our country every day.
And I know I have Marco Rubio waiting, but I mean, you're an official in Ohio. How concerned are you on the stealing of the election in Ohio?
Ballot integrity is definitely a big issue here. I mean, I was down by the Board of Elections the other day, and there's just vans and vans and vans of people being dropped off there to vote. And obviously, the default is is believing that people are following the law and doing everything legally within the bounds. And I hope and assume that's happening. But at the same time, with such a volume of people voting early here in Ohio, we need poll watchers, and we need folks keeping eyeballs on every ballot site. But I think it's also important, Glenn, that those poll watchers are Americans. I don't know if you caught this crazy idea about the UN observers wanting to come into America.
Well, I don't know how Ohio handled it, but Texas said, "Go to hell, we'll arrest you if you come in."
Yeah, over my dead body.
Exactly right.
Guys,
thank you very much, Josh.
Into Cleveland, Ohio. So, if any of your listeners want to help us out here in the last weekend, our website's pretty simple. It's joshmandel.com.
Thanks, Josh. JoshMandel.com.
Let me pass up the phone. I got Senator Rubio here. We're calling you from Joe's Diner in Rocky River, Ohio.
Oh, really? Is Joe Biden there? Because
Joe Biden's not here, but yeah, they have a bunch of good pastries. So hang on one second.
Thanks a lot.
Glenn, good to talk to you.
Hey, Senator, how are you?
We're doing good. We're a lot of excitement here in Ohio. I think people understand the choice this election is not just between two people. It's between two very different views of our government's role in our future, what America should be, what America should remain. And I think you're starting to sense that from people as you talk to them.
Oh, I tell you, I think you're going to see a miracle on Tuesday. I really do. I mean, a miracle far as the distance between the two. I think America is wide awake. They've just had enough. They're quiet about it. It's like my grandparents. My grandparents didn't have to say anything. They would just go do it. And I think that's what's gonna happen.
I think that's right.
How do you think things are going to fare for Romney in Ohio and Florida? How close?
Let me start with Florida. Yeah, because I've obviously lived there and spent a lot of time there. I feel great about Florida. The analogy I always use is I know people that voted for Barack Obama in 2008. They're going to vote for Mitt Romney. I don't know anyone who voted for John McCain that's going to vote for Barack Obama this time. Mm-hmm. I know that's anecdotal, but I think that's the feeling people have. There's a lot of disappointment. Some people just kind of bought into the 2008 notion that, let's try something different. He's going to unify our country. He's going to bring us together. And it's just been a disaster. I mean, economically, politically, all the way around, and people are just ready to walk away from that and kind of go back to the free enterprise system, which made us the most prosperous people that have ever walked the earth.
I am really concerned about what's happening in Benghazi, and even when Mitt Romney wins on Tuesday, on Wednesday, I will still be pushing for serious investigations because what we have is a president that let guys die, and a lot of people watched them die in real time. There's a massive cover-up on this, and beyond that, you've got anywhere from 25 to 500 people who know and are now having a hard time sleeping at night. And if those guys are allowed to let that just cook in their soul, man, we go really dark. It's not good. We've never been that way as Americans, to leave just people die.
Yeah, two things are happening. On the one hand, I think there's a very serious concern that I have, and I think it's a legitimate question to ask, and that is the reason why they spent 2 weeks telling us that this was the result of a spontaneous uprising, is the reason why they're saying that because it went counter to their narrative that al-Qaeda had been defeated, bin Laden was dead, and the world was safer. And because they bragged about this for months. It was a key part of their convention. Now, obviously, we're very happy bin Laden is dead, but al-Qaeda, unfortunately, has reconstituted itself in North Africa, including Libya. So that's the first element of it. The second is that there's clearly something going on here in terms of the ability of our different agencies to interact and coordinate and make the right decisions in a timely fashion to save lives. So we're going to have what they call classified hearings, but I'm going to push for open hearings as well. And by the way, these hearings should have happened a long time ago. They shouldn't be happening after the election. And there's a lot of information out there that's going to be classified that shouldn't be classified. There's no reason to keep it that way. The American people have the right to hold their government accountable for its failures, A, so that the people who did it can be held accountable, and B, so that it never, ever happens again.
Thank you very much, Senator. And you keep going, and we wish you luck. I think the real hard work for America begins on Wednesday.
Well, thanks for what you've been doing for years, all the way back to the 9/12 movement and your involvement in that years ago. It really began in 2009, right after the election, when folks like you raised your voice and began to educate the American people about what was going on. That led to the big wave in 2010 that allowed me to get elected, and the wave in 2012 that's going to give us a new president and is going to give us Josh Mandel.
Well, just don't let us down. One quick question: how worried are you about the lame duck session?
I'm worried. I mean, a lot of bad things happen in lame duck sessions. You have folks that are never going to run again who don't feel like they're accountable. You have a lot of, they'll package a couple good ideas with 10 bad ones and tell you that's the way business is done. That's the only way to get things done. So I am concerned about some pretty bad policy happening in the lame duck. We got that START treaty with the Russians in a lame duck 2 years ago, and a couple other things that were not good for our country as well.
Thank you very much, Senator. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll talk again soon.